crack it.
Okay. So,
FroN'Girls.
FroN'Girls. Yeah. It's kind of.
Join us for the simultaneous sip. We decided to do it outside because, well, it's so nice outside.
Yeah. Should I turn the camera a little bit more so you don't have to lean so much?
I'll do it.
Okay.
You tell everybody about the question of the day.
The question of the day is, how do you manage stress? And it's kind of tying into one question that you can kind of think about before you start thinking about how to manage stress is, how do you identify when you're stressed out? Because then you can start to try to tackle your stress a lot more forcefully, because you actually know that, yeah, I'm stressed out. So, did you have any thoughts, Mommy?
Yeah, how do you manage stress, Mommy? You're probably one of the best people ever at managing stress, so I really want to hear what you have to say.
If I knew I was stressed out, I take various strategies to manage my stress. One is meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move this even closer to you while you talk.
Okay.
Meditation?
Meditation and exercise.
Uh-huh.
Two strategies that are most effective for me to manage my stress.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I running on a treadmill, my stress dissipates. And then when I am grateful for everything in my life, then my stress dissipates.
Uh-huh. For me, I think when I'm stressed out, I try to figure out the root of the problem. Like, if it's like a homework assignment, then maybe, and it's not only the homework assignment, but also, but it's also maybe I'm just really stressed out about something else that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also when I'm stressed out, then I try to tackle that root of the problem, because if it's just temporary, kind of temporary things that I'm doing, then it's probably going to come back, and that's not really helpful long term. So that's something that
You take a sip.
to do.
Somebody said reframing thoughts. So I want to go ahead and elaborate on that one, because I think that's one of my favorites. We call it paradigm shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not something is perceived as stressful or not is to a large degree within our control, right? So if we were to take our brains and drop it inside of a family living on the steppe. The steppe is a part of the world where it's like present day Russia, but on the western side, so near closer to Europe, and it's really, really hard to survive there, right? The terrain is unforgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so if we were to be dropped into that situation, we'd be really, really stressful.
Yeah.
Right? Be wow, this is stressful. But if you live there and you're used to it, then it wasn't stressful. It was just life.
Mm-hmm.
So we can change the way we perceive something, and we are the ones who decide whether or not something is stressful.
Yeah.
Right? So remembering that it's up here,
Mm-hmm.
right, I think is rather important. It's all relative.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess the only other thing I have to share about stress management is that I find this to be very useful.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Sam Harris talks about this. Yeah, I listen to a lot of Sam Harris. So, any other thoughts on stress management?
Well, just follow up on the point you made. Like it's we when we
Talk to
think
these people. Yeah, nice and loud.
something is
You have to
really
talk louder than the bird up there. So.
well, when we think something is really really stressful, then it really becomes stressful, right? But if we say, hey, this is just part of life, and let me figure out a way to deal with it, and things just become less stressful.
And also, if you also have to identify whether or not it's in your circle of influence, and if it's not, like, for example, if you get a good grade on a homework assignment and that's something you're stressed out about, well, that is something that you have a lot of control over, so then you can just try to work really hard on that homework assignment. But if it's something like the election that just passed and it's like you're really stressed out about what's going to happen, but there's nothing you can really do about it, I think then you can try to take your mind off it and to kind of think about other things and to not really let it consume your mind so much, because since you can't really do anything about it, it's not really going to be that helpful. So
And sometimes when I'm stressed out, it is usually due to overwhelming things I needed to do in like work and life. So if I can have a to-do list and prioritize it and just focus and get things done, that's
to list everything out, and then it doesn't really seem as
much. If it's all up here and
it's all jumbled.
Yeah, then I just think there's too much to do. But when I write it down, then I realize, hey, it's manageable.
Yeah. Somebody wrote, and focus on that lovely bird song. Oh yeah. That's right. It's kind of nice. We decided to have it out here because it was just a beautiful day.
It is.
We thought it would also help to reduce stress.
Yeah.
Provide a serene environment for those watching. So somebody mentioned living in the now.
Yeah.
And like a lot of things with stress, like people say, oh, let's talk about stress management, tools for stress. Like, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the time I'll hear these things and I'll be like, yeah, we know that stuff, but that's really hard to actually do. Right? Yeah. And so this idea of living in the now is one of these things where it's like, okay, all right, I'm here in the now, but it's not so easy to, like, what are the practical suggestions for how do you actually do that? So there's a movie called The Peaceful Warrior that we're a huge fan of. And if you haven't seen it, it's a very entertaining movie, but it also happens to have like 95% of our entire life philosophy in one feature-length film, which is really convenient.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, say, if you like are reading the Bible, like if you're like, okay, well this is what that takes a really long time. It takes like a year to read, as opposed to a movie.
Right.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this movie, Peaceful Warrior, recommending The Peaceful Warrior. But there's a part in this movie where one character whose name is Socrates is trying to teach Dan Millman, who's like a gymnast. He's trying to teach him about how to live in the now. And the way he does it, he's like, okay, well, I want you to meet me out on this bridge. And Dan shows up. He shows up a little bit late. And he's like, okay, I'm here. Can we make this quick? And Socrates is like, sure. And then he tosses him off the side of the bridge. He flies down. He's like, ah! He crashes into the water. He gets so mad, and he comes up to Socrates. He's like, "Why did you do that? How could you do that?" And Socrates is like, "Well, I wanted you to know what it felt like to be in the moment." So that's one way.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending that way, but
but it works.
But it works. All right.
So, yeah. I mean, I think for living in the now, that's really helpful because then you're not really you're not thinking about the past or the future that can be what causes a lot of stress. I also think if it's something that happened in the past that you're stressed out about, that you just have to try to get your mind off it and to try not to worry about it so much because it's just something that happened in the past and you can't really change that. And so, did you have any more thoughts?
I was thinking more about how to quickly identify that stress is actually taking you over. Because personally, I realized that when I am stressed out but I don't know about it, I can do a lot of things that's like damaging relationships.
Right.
For example, I can be impatient, and
You can get emotional easier because you're not really you don't have a lot of patience.
I don't have a lot of patience, but when other people really need my patience and I don't have it, that's just making situations difficult, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes if I'm not very aware, I can think it's somebody else's problem, right? And
Yeah.
and then I don't deal with my own stress, and I also kind of have a negative view about the other person,
Yeah.
which is not very good. So I realize when I'm stressed out, I usually am less patient, and I can like raise my voice when I'm you know in a conversation or discussions more easily, and these are like my signals of indicating I'm stressed out or overwhelmed.
Yeah. And also, I think you have to be, you can be stressed out and you can just, like, not really, you just feel like, oh, I'm just impatient and it's kind of, you have to be a little bit conscious about it to realize that you're stressed out more. It'll be a lot easier to identify whether you're or not you're stressed out if you're conscious about it. But a lot of the time, that's like we're not really that conscious because it's hard. And living in the now is hard. But I think if you're conscious about it and you're aware that you're kind of like acting differently, like that can be a few like different reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be stress, but if then once you realize that you are acting differently, then you can kind of try to pinpoint why you're acting differently. And but that can only like you're not going to randomly be like because you have to first realize that you're acting differently, and
that requires awareness also.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's
we've
actually
got
the harder part. For me, is that I can be unaware that I'm stressed out, and acting very differently from the normal better self. But once I realize it, then I go through my toolkit and deal with it. Or
cool. So we've got a Buddha here on our feed today, spitting out some real beauties, some real gems, talking about genetic predispositions and how that complicates things. So I think this complicates things for a lot of reasons, but one is how you handle other people that are stressed, and
That's
like
true.
how you can and how you can't or how you maybe should avoid trying to help them.
Right.
So, like, knowing that we're all unique in many ways, I think is important to keep in mind when giving advice to other people about handling stress.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, so for me, like I am kind of, I have a very active brain where I'm constantly thinking about things, and it's very hard for me to relax if I don't have anything to do, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, somebody else like my wife, you know, she's very different, and so if I'm stressed out, she may say, well, maybe you should just try to relax, don't do anything, you know, just go on a walk and don't bring your headphones, and like like I was like, no, that's the opposite of what I need right now. I need, you know, I just need to like have a conversation with somebody or something. So just being aware of how genetically we're different, but also culturally we're different, and
Your
personalities are different. And so all these things can lead to making it difficult to say taking what works for you and assuming that it's going to work for somebody else. That can be challenging if you're living with somebody, like say during a pandemic, and like you just can't leave very easily, and so you may really want to help somebody dealing with their stress, but just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else, right? All right.
Yeah.
You guys are so pretty.
Thank you.
So what else do we have to say about stress management? The vaccine this morning should help with stress management.
Yeah.
Also, like my observations is that if two loving people are constantly getting into a fight, that indicates either one of them are stressed out or both of them are stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because also when you're stressed out, you just don't have a lot of patience and just a lot of mental space for.
That's true.
Yeah. And so I think that also one of the things when you're stressed out, you can just keep thinking about bad things. Yeah. And you're just, because there's like almost like endless bad things that like happen and can happen and have happened.
That's true.
So it's kind of like, it's so, and if you get into that kind of spiral of like all these bad things that have happened and like just worrying about things, and it's really hard to break out at times. And so just thinking about how you can be more, like you can start to think about things that are more happy and positive, and I think that can help with stress, because then you're just not worrying about the things that have happened, and you're more thinking about things that are good. I think that can be beneficial when you're stressed out.
And getting enough sleep.
Yeah, well, maybe we could rattle off like some really straightforward things for stress management that everybody can do.
Okay.
Okay,
like,
so here's one.
Take deep breaths.
Here's a quick one. Stop watching news. Like now. Just okay, and there's so many reasons to just never watch the news. And like I'm talking about like the CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, like the news. Okay.
Right.
But there may be other places where you can get news.
Right.
That's
that
different.
Are kind of like.
So here's one big reason why. So news is actually not news.
Yeah.
And by that what I mean is it's not new information that's like really important that you need to know. What it is extreme events that these people will select because they know that it triggers certain things mentally for people that make them feel like, oh no, I need to watch this, right? Yeah. But the value of it decays over time extremely rapidly. So like the value of what was in the headlines a day ago is like half as useful today, and then a week from now it's like completely useless. So the having all that isn't helping you, but it also is disproportionately negative because that's what catches attention. So
and also
so all that time can
That's
just.
not really reflective of reality.
It's not reflecting
In
reality
general,
either, right?
yeah.
It's anecdotes. Like if they were showing statistics, right? If
It's
they're like,
boring.
okay, here's like the rate of, violent crime over time, like they're not showing that. They'll just say, look, somebody shot somebody. We
Right.
all need to, like, this is not news, right? This is
Yeah.
not a statistic. It's not really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one big one. Stress management, you can just fill lots and lots of time, can just be opened up with that. What's another big one? Like, well, I got another good one, but you guys can take one.
Spend more time with the people you care about, because sometimes when you're stressed out, it's because your priorities are out of order. And then when you kind of spend more time with the people that you care about, then you can kind of reset that more, and you can kind of think about like the things that really matter to you in life, because sometimes you can be stressed out about things that don't matter that much necessarily. And then when you're kind of thinking more about the things that really do matter in your life, then it can kind of become more clear to you, why am I stressed out about this? Like, does this really
spend
actually
more time
matter?
with people that you care about is
Yeah.
the key thing. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're social beings, so to the extent that, if we're feeling dissatisfied, a lot of the time it's really being driven by like a lack of human connection.
Yeah.
Especially during a pandemic.
Yeah.
If people are extra stressed out,
Yeah.
There's a huge increase in the probability that what's driving that what's causing that is a lack of genuine human connection. And so that's a great one.
Just check your attention.
Sorry, I was distracted.
I was thinking, like, how you are spending your attention, right? Is your attention mostly on positive, helpful things, or
the news?
Yeah.
or negative things that's really out of your control, and really kind
That's
of
like the definition of news.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'll shut up about news.
And it goes back to like spending time with people who you love and also make you feel good about yourself, right? Like just to say, okay, I dominantly you need your attention to be focused on positive and helpful things in your life,
or at least things that are that are somehow connected enough to your life. It doesn't, like, you don't necessarily have to surround yourself with nothing but happy things.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But at least don't go out of your way to identify things that are really, really sad and completely like not related to your life,
right,
and out of your control. Like,
and then be sad about it.
I won't mention the word, but
I also like just there's a few quick things. Get more sleep.
Get more sleep.
Yeah.
Exercise.
Don't cut your hair.
Yeah. Don't cut your hair.
No. And eat. Eat, drink. Well, right. So these are like so quick things you can do. It helps you feel better.
Encourage your children to make tasty food for you.
Yep.
That's good. That works.
Yep.
I'd say here's a good one for parents that have children that drive them crazy. So Jordan Peterson mentions in his book 12 Rules for Life.
Oh yeah, don't let your children do things that make you not like them.
Yes. Don't allow your children to do things that other people won't like, right? Or that make you not like them.
Right.
Like, it's, you live with your children. And if you have a lot of patience for behavior that if they exhibit that behavior around other people, they're not going to like them, you're doing a huge disservice to your children and yourself. So like there's this, I think a lot of people have like this 3 chances rule or something, or like you'll see it in grocery stores a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I'm not against like 1, 2, 3 so much as it's like
just like, okay, that was your first chance.
that was your first chance, Timmy. Okay, stop throwing milk on the floor of the grocery store, Timmy. Okay, that's your 4th chance. You only get 7 chances, Timmy. And it's like, what are you teaching them? You're basically teaching them
they can exhibit bad behavior, but only an amount of time for like only
right. How far can I push it?
Like
Right? Okay, 20 minutes? Great. I can just annoy mommy for 20 minutes straight before she's just like... and it almost becomes like a game. And so... But that would be like one source of stress that I think it drives a lot of folks crazy. But if you have if you're very clear about what the boundary is, then... Oh, what is it? Might fill your heart. Whatever fills your heart will fill your life. Oh wow, that's so deep. This is the same person. Whoever this is, please keep coming back, because I really like what you have to say. It's so deep and powerful. So whatever fills your mind will fill your heart. Whatever fills your heart will fill your life.
So just to
so
clear your mind, right?
Does that mean I need to cut my hair so I can let it come in?
Maybe.
No.
No? Okay, all right. So, not my quote. Okay, we're just going to assume that it is, though. Like, and the Bingly Bongly. All right, you gotta come up with a new handle, man. I can't in all seriousness say that quote and then just be like, by Bingly Bongly. So powerful. Like, so what's another like really low hanging fruit? Oh, here's a really important one for married people. Okay. Do not assume that any sadness that you feel or discomfort in your life
sadness from your partner
is coming from your partner. So this is like for fun. A lot of guys read books on marriage for fun, so I know, that's not too strange, but I like writing about it too. So in case you're wondering just what kind of a manly man I am, that's... Oh yeah. So anyway, one of the things I was learning from reading these books on marriage is that a lot of people will get a divorce thinking that the sadness and all the stress that they're feeling, because we're supposed to be talking about stress, right? That the stress that they're having is because of their spouse. And then they'll get a divorce. Yeah. And then they'll realize right after they got a divorce and moved out that it wasn't coming from their spouse. It was coming from them. And it's like, it's really sad because at that point you've already really damaged this relationship, right? Yeah. So it's hard to come back from that. But there's this concept of being like, what does it mean to be responsible for one's own stress? And there's another guy from Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage, another different marriage book, and he was basically saying that, what does this word mean, responsible? Well, it means that you're able. You are able to respond to whatever the challenges that you have. Is that right? Is it 7 habits?
From 7
Okay.
Habits.
So the point here, this is really powerful because it's like a lot of the time that we're stressed out, it's because we have decided to not be responsible for something. And so all of a sudden we're not able to respond to the thing that is making us miserable. So we're deciding that, oh no, there's this horrible thing that I can do nothing about, so I just have to sit here and suffer, right? And the only way out, the only way to get over that stress is to actually decide, no, I am going to be responsible for that stress. I'm going to be responsible. I am going to choose to respond to it and assume that I have the power to actually make it better.
Because if you don't believe that, then you can't really do
anything. If you don't believe that, then you're just stuck there in the storm, right? And you're just sitting there yelling at the world about this horrible situation that you're in. Yeah. And you lack the courage to accept that you have the ability to respond to it and do something about it. And so this is like one of these core, I think, philosophical differences between somebody that you may know that spends a lot of their time being miserable and stressed out, and somebody else who decides, you know what, I'm going to choose how I'm going to respond to this because I'm a powerful person and I can actually change how I see the world, or I can change my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes courage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we wrap it up? I'll be 30 minutes already.
Yes, and some people don't even know they are screwed up and stressed. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it's
Yep.
really hard to tell people
Yeah.
that too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what do you do?
I
I think that, well, actually, I do think that there's an answer to that, and then we can
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there is an answer to that. So, what allows people to be responsible or able to respond to the world?
Mm-hmm.
It takes courage.
Oh yeah, and then if you try to
People are hard. Bingly, bingly, bongly. People are hard work, love. All right. So, how do people become responsible or response-able? Able to respond to the world around them? They have to have courage. And how do you gain courage? Well, it's really, really hard to be courageous if you feel like there are a whole lot of people around you judging you and telling you what to do and assuming that you're going to fail and assuming that you've been living your life wrong.
Mm-hmm. And if you support people and you try to
Encourage
them and try to give them strength, then they're much more likely to
and believe in them.
to have more courage to try to believe that they can do something about their situation.
Yeah.
If they have people who are actually supporting them, and once they realize like the situation that they're in, know that it's something that I can control, but it's hard because it's hard to be responsible and to step up and actually do something about it. But if you have someone there supporting you, then it's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can give somebody the feeling that you are somebody that I care about, even if you don't change, right? If you can try to accept somebody, flaws and all, right? Just love them. Just be their cheerleader and not demand change, but just keep giving them that signal. I'm your friend. I'm going to be here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a powerful, valuable person just the way you are. If you give people that feeling, then that is one of the best ways that you can help somebody to then decide, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm not going to blame the world. I'm not going to be powerless. I'm going to become responsible, able to respond to the world around me and take charge.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't force it.
Yeah.
Unless they're your children, like what I did with Shume. Then you can. But I'll save that for another day. What a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm joking, by the way. You got to do the same thing with kids. No, you can't. Be responsible. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Should we close it up?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Well, thank you for joining us for today's episode of
FroN'Girls.
Cracky.